No pay for 8 months.
We have to live, we have to survive.
No pay for 8 months.
We have to survive, we have to live. This is the entrance to the Radio and Television Bureau in a well-known tourist city in Guangxi Province. More than 30 people were holding up banners and demanding their wages. Subsequently, the official media of this city issued a notice to dispel the rumors, claiming that the information about the workers of the radio and television system being in financial difficulties was untrue. However, the notice didn't explain who the protesters were in the video or whether they were employees of the broadcasting and television system. China's economy continues to weaken in the aftermath of the epidemic. Local governments are heavily indebted, and there have been a series of financial meltdowns. Recently, mass protests broke out across China involving people from all walks of life, including what's considered to be secure government or well-paid jobs such as civil servants, teachers, the financial and investment industries, and real estate. Freedom House, a think tank in the US, set up a website called China Dissent Monitor in 2022. It compiles statistics on group protests in China through media reports, social media platforms, Chinese civil society organizations, and machine learning software developed by them. A year's worth of data as of June 2023 shows that offline and online dissident activities recorded publicly in China have soared, reaching as many as 2,803 cases with more than 30,000 participants. According to the report, labor protests have heated up since December 2022. There were at least 93 offline labor rights protests in the month of June alone, which is 2.35 times as many as in the same period last year. The cause behind the protests is directly related to China's economic slowdown and the fourth consecutive month of manufacturing contraction. Among the many protests, one of the most notable is the teachers' protest in northwest China on September 4th. In China, teachers are supposed to be a group of people with stable incomes. Hundreds of teachers from 2 high schools staged sit-ins in front of their respective schools to protest salary arrears. It's said that the teachers have been unpaid for half a year since March 2023, leaving them in a state of misery. Of course, privileged members in the teaching profession in China, such as school principals and party secretaries, don't get affected much by salaries arrears. On the same day, retired teachers in Guangxi Province petitioned the government en masse over the suspension of their pensions. Meanwhile, similar incidents occurred in other cities. Local finances are in dire straits. In July 2023, the Guangdong provincial government held a press conference to announce a collective pay cut for civil servants. Those who used to get paid 12,000 yuan can now only receive 9,000. And those who used to be compensated 15,000 can now only get 11,000. It's a pay cut of about 25%. Prior to this, a number of provinces across the country have lowered civil service pay. Among them, Zhejiang Province reduced the salary by 25%, Jiangsu reduced by 15%, and Fujian reduced by 20%. Other provinces have also implemented a pay cut for civil servants. In a normal economic environment, the salary of civil servants who enjoy an iron rice bowl should only go up. However, the iron rice bowls seem to have broken as civil servants in many parts of China now suffer from delayed pay following last year's pay cuts. Radio Free Asia reported that in August 2023, civil servants in many parts of China are experiencing salary arrears. In one city, civil servants and employees of several townships have had their salaries suspended for several months. In Nanjing, the capital city of Guangxi Province, which is one of the richer cities in China, district governments started to borrow money from each other in August this year. Most of the civil servants in one district of Nanjing did not receive their salaries. Eventually, under the coordination of the Nanjing municipal government, another district mobilized its finances and lent money to help the other district government with its payroll. Up to now, there haven't been many protests by civil servants. No one has gone to revolt when civil servants aren't paid for several months. One possibility is that these civil servants can make ends meet with their gray income. In addition, civil servants have retirement and medical coverage, which is much better than what ordinary people receive. Some Chinese people also told Radio Free Asia that in Tianjin, one of the cities directly managed by the central government, at least 4 district governments were in a financial crunch, and many civil servants hadn't been able to receive their salaries for several months. It was even rumored that some officials had gone to a local temple to borrow money. The news made overseas Chinese laugh, with one netizen commenting, "It's over. Wang Ba has started to beg monks for money." Wang Ba is a curse word which roughly refers to a bad guy. This is the first time that the government is said to borrow money from a temple. Doesn't the Buddhist temple rely on public offerings and donations? How can they lend out money? If you look at this statistic, you won't find it strange that the Tianjin officials are thinking out of the box. The top 10 temples in China generate 760 million yuan, or about US 100 million in ticket revenue annually. And that doesn't include the revenue from those compliant business activities. Cultivation culture has a long history in China. Since ancient times, people who went to temples to become monks converted to Buddhism because they were tired of worldly affairs and wanted to pursue inner peace and tranquility, devoting their hearts to doing good. Under the CCP rule, these became history. The temples are highly commercialized. Many monks in the temples aren't too different from government officials. They worship money and enjoy life's pleasures, greedy and corrupt as well. The personal assets of many abbots exceed 100 million. I even know a guru who has 11 wives and an abbot who has 9 wives. Jiahua Mountain is one of the 4 great mountains in Buddhism. Our company has been working on this project for more than 5 years. It has hit me personally, especially hard. I use the word hit because after I was done working for this project, I no longer burn incense and worship the Buddha. If you look into the current state of religion in China, if you conduct an in-depth study, you will find it shocking. Many abbots' personal assets are more than 100 million RMB, or roughly 15 million US dollars. I even know a guru with 11 wives and an abbot with 9 wives. Later, they were discovered quickly and got arrested. Such arrests went on till last year's National Day. The whole country went to the mountains and found that there wasn't a single monk in the mountains. Only a few security guards were in the temples, no monks. After asking around, we found out they were taken to a place to learn about the party and its philosophy. They were released one by one before the Spring Festival this year, but the temple leaders didn't get released. Under the leadership of the CCP, the president of the Buddhist Association, the abbot, and the professional monks are all members of the CCP. They have standardized the management and enacted unifying rules and regulations for the temples and the monks. They have secularized the Buddhists and put forward the idea of earthly Buddhism. It's in line with the call of the former party leader Jiang Zemin to make a lot of money in a quiet manner. However, it said when officials in Tianjin tried to borrow money, the owner of the temple also complained about being poor and refused to lend. It seems that the temple owner shares the same pursuit of interests as the government officials and thus has no incentive to lend the money to the government. Although the banking system isn't part of the civil service, it's mostly made up of state-run organizations. In August 2023, the Bank of China launched a nationwide pay cut. It claimed to narrow the pay gap between regular employees and middle and senior level executives and was in response to Beijing's so-called Common Prosperity Initiative. Reuters analyzed that the Bank of China's pay reforms surprised outsiders because its pay grades are generally lower than investment banks and other local financial institutions. For example, in 2022, when Beijing called for common prosperity, the Bank of China's salaries weren't affected by the pay cuts at the time. With the pay cuts, the income of Chinese brokerage executives got slashed by half as well. Judging from the data disclosed in the 2022 annual report, 23 of the 27 listed securities firms have made varying degrees of salary reduction adjustments to employees' salaries, and leading securities firms such as CICC, CITIC Securities, and CITIC Construction Investment are also among them. Among the securities companies that have disclosed annual reports, China Merchant Securities' per capita salary in 2022 fell 39% year-on-year, with the highest percentage of salary shrinkage. From local governments to many industries, the problem lies in the fact that land finance over the past 30 years suddenly failed to work. and China's real estate industry suddenly went cold. The website by China Dissent Monitor by Freedom House reported that labor and housing protests are the majority of protests in China, with the former accounting for 59% while the latter accounts for 22% of the total protests. In mid-August 2023, China's largest private financial holding group, Guangxi System, was dragged down by the downturn in the real estate industry and burst into a meltdown. 4 major wealth management companies under the Guangxi Group defaulted on their loans. The core of this debt crisis, Zhongrong International Trust, due to the failure of investment in real estate, is conservatively estimated to default in the amount of 350 billion yuan, or $47.7 billion US dollars. Moreover, the products of the Guangxi series that blew up this time were concentrated in fixed financing products, with a single investment ranging from US $400,000 to US $700 million. As a result of the cap restriction, the most affected are high net worth customers, including 150,000 investors and nearly 5,000 companies, all of whom are wealthy. For more on this story, you can check out our previous coverage. The link to the story is posted in the description box below. Dozens of investors protested for their rights in front of the gates of Guangxi Group's headquarters in Beijing's Chaoyang district on September 4th, after the company went into a meltdown. They were beaten by unidentified men in white who used a whiteboard to cover the scene of the beating so that the surrounding public could not take pictures and expose the incident. Police officers on the sidelines didn't stop the violent behavior.
Assault. Assault.
Somebody assaulted me, somebody hit me.
Assault. Assault. They're gangsters, rascals.
Everyone, listen to me. This is the business premises of the company. If you have any demands, you can go in and talk about them. If you don't want to talk about them, you can leave this place. On September 5th, the victims of Guangxi and Zhongrong Trust petitioned in Beijing and were beaten or carried out one by the authorities.
Assault. Assault.
This is terrible. Ouch. If the investors from the affluent class are unable to lodge their complaints, it will be even more difficult for those from the middle and lower classes. A few days ago, a number of provinces in China witnessed a spat of protests initiated due to financial meltdowns, many of which were related to the real estate industry. On September 4th, dozens of people in Zhengzhou went to the headquarters of Guangxi Real Estate to protest, demanding repayment of their money. They held signs that read, "Guangxi is a fraud, Guangxi pay back the money," as well as, "Give me back my hard-earned money." Guangxi Real Estate, a well-known real estate company in Henan, has seen its sales drop off a cliff in recent years, plummeting from 25.4 billion yuan in 2020 to 9.1 billion yuan in 2022. Since 2021, Guangxi Real Estate has repeatedly reported delays in the delayed deliveries of several of its projects and suspension of construction. Also, on September 4th, some migrant workers protested under the Xi'an Center with a banner that read, "Give me back my hard-earned money." They completed a development in a new district of Xi'an, but didn't get paid for their work. On September 5th, in Beihai City, owners of rotten-tailed buildings went to the municipal government to defend their rights and demanded to see the party secretary to demand a home. The owners wore t-shirts printed with slogans, "Beihai government, please do something for the people." During the protest, the owners were pushed and shoved by the police. Homeowners who were under police guard sat on the ground and cried bitterly. Assault, assault.
Why don't you go after the people who cheated us out of our money? Why do you bully the weak like us?
On September 5th, in front of a district government in Sichuan Province, owners of rotten-tailed buildings held banners in protest. Again, they were met with physical violence by the police. The banner held by the owners reads, "Black-hearted developers, return our real estate certificates, return our hard-earned money," and "There is no recourse but to take to the streets to defend our rights, and I hope that the government will take care of it." The banner was signed by all owners of Hongjian Center Plaza. On September 5th, Evergrande homeowners defended their rights in front of the CITIC Bank because CITIC Bank illegally transferred money, resulting in Evergrande's property becoming rotten-tailed. Victims shouted, "CITIC, return the money." Hey, what's going on here? CITIC, return the money, return the money. For a country, the purpose of economic development is to provide its people with better housing, education, medical care, and so on. But in Red China, it's the other way around. It's to develop its economy through exploiting the industries of housing, education, and medical care. If a country gives neither security to the rich nor hope to the poor, it is bound to experience social upheaval. In the midst of all these difficulties, the CCP authorities have been vigorously advocating that the people should take the big picture into consideration. However, more and more people are discovering what China's big picture really is.
China's big picture is basically set. CICC has calculated China's total assets as 790 trillion RMB. State-owned enterprises account for 360 trillion or 45%. The rich people at 260 trillion or 36% of China's total wealth. State-owned enterprises account for 45%, China's top 100 or the top 1,000. These tycoons account for 260 trillion or 36% of China's total assets. The rest of China's nearly 100 million middle class account for 13% of China's total wealth. The remaining 1.3 billion people account for 3% of China's total wealth. The wealth of the entire China is basically like this.